everybody, it's me again, Allison Powell, and today I am going to talk about a subject that comes up a lot with my friends who are producers and my friends who just are aspiring filmmakers, and that is going to be the difference between an executive producer and a producer, and what a producer actually does. And I'm really going to be focusing just on indie projects and indie shorts and web series more specifically than studio projects or bigger budget feature films, because those have line producers and a unit production manager and a production coordinator and all kinds of amazing things like a location manager that we usually don't have on short films and web series and lower budget indie projects. And in those cases, usually the producer is covering a lot of different jobs. So I'm not going to be going into that and the differences between all of those different things. Just so you know, you can Google it. It's something that maybe one day I'll aspire to work on a set that I can have a location manager, but for now, that's usually me. So let's start out with the difference between an executive producer, a producer, an associate producer, a co-producer, any title like that. So the first thing to know is that an associate producer and a co-producer are titles that can kind of be given out as a filmmaker sees fit. For example, on my feature film, I gave associate producer credits to everybody that helped crowdfund with me, that was on my crowdfunding team, as a thank you for all of their amazing hard work. They weren't actually producing anything. Some of them weren't even on set. Co-producer, kind of the same thing. Some people who are on my crowdfunding team have co-producer credits. They did a different kind of work or maybe more involved. Maybe they were on set. Co-producer, associate producer, these are credits and titles that can kind of be given out. And I don't want to say that they're meaningless, because people who have them usually have contributed something to the project, but they're not the same as a producer. Executive producer is what a lot of people, I think a producer is, or they think that the titles are kind of interchangeable or that they mean the same thing, and they really don't. An executive producer is usually the person who has invested or donated or is financing a large portion of the budget. An executive producer is the person paying for the project. So sometimes that is the producer. On my Black Widow short, I was also the executive producer. I spent a ton of my own money making that project. So all of the funds came from me. So I was the executive producer. A lot of people think that a producer is the executive producer, or that a producer is the person who will get the funds or give the money to make the project happen, and that just really isn't the case. So a lot of my friends who are producers, we talk about and get a little bit frustrated when people come to us and say, I want to make this project, but it's not funded. Can you help me get the money? And the reality is that just isn't really our area of expertise. We might know about crowdfunding. I certainly know more about that now that I've gone through it. So executive producer is the person that you want to find when you're trying to get funding for your film. You could offer someone executive producer credit if they fund your project. If you have a rich uncle, I don't. I hear this all the time. I feel like nobody does, but maybe you're that one lucky person that does, and they invest $5,000 for you to make a short film, and you give them executive producer credit. Boom, there you go. And then you could go to a producer and say, the project is already financed. Because a producer isn't the person that's doing the financing, typically. So that's the biggest thing that you need to understand. Executive producer means money, producer spends the money. And that is where a lot of people run into trouble, is they go to a producer and expect them to somehow magically make all of this money appear. And again, that's just not what we're doing. A lot of times we have so many other things that we need to accomplish to make your project happen, or to make our project happen. Trying to find the funds to get it made, we just don't have time. So on a smaller indie project, like a lot of the things that I make and that most people come to me wanting to make, a producer is doing almost everything. We are the location managers, so we are working hopefully with you, maybe on our own, to find a location to film at. We are hiring all of the crew. we are renting all of the equipment, we are tracking the budget, which is what a line producer would do, and inputting all of the receipts, keeping track of all the checks that are being written, what credit card was spent to rent what piece of equipment, this and that takes a lot of time. We're also doing all of the paperwork usually, so all of the SAG paperwork, all of the crew deal memos, all of the invoices, that's all coming through us. So when it's just me producing a project, that can take hours and hours. So you really do need a producer on a project. Sometimes that can be you. I had somebody ask me recently, do I need to have a producer? Well, it doesn't matter if you have a producer or not, somebody's going to end up producing. It might be you if you don't go out and find someone and hire someone, and so you are stuck hiring the crew, renting all of the equipment, figuring out what you're going to have for lunch, going to Costco and buying all of the crafty, filling out all of the paperwork, tracking the amount that you've spent. Then you'll be the producer. And that's fantastic. I never knew what a producer did. I never understood it. I didn't even really realize that it was a thing. Like, you see them at the Oscars, but you don't know until you do it how much work it is. And also how fun it is. It can be really creative. And I've been part of some amazing project and some amazing stories, and I'm really privileged. And this is the other reason why I tell people that producing your own work is the best way to gain confidence as a filmmaker and to learn what it takes to put a film together. It's the best way. Being the person that stands up and says, I have a script, I have an idea, I want to make a project, I'm going to pull all the elements together and make it happen, makes you a producer, and then you can do anything you want. So I hope that cleared some things up. Thanks for watching.